Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Leopard 2PL, a currently Tier 7 11.0 BR main battle tank that exists as a Squadron vehicle for the German Ground Forces tech tree, though of course this is a Polish variant of the 2A4. In this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this vehicle, including its stats, how it plays, I'll give its strengths and weaknesses, I'll go into some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation, and if I feel that this vehicle is either worth grinding for or purchasing, or even none of the above. As always, please consider subscribing for more content like this, as that would make you into a huge pierogi fan, and who does not love pierogies? But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, as always, I'll place its stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its power to weight ratio, turret traverse, and of course, its reload rate. Now for how it plays. This is pretty much the MBT of MBTs, as it has features and qualities that make it extremely versatile. It is very fast, owing to an over 25 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio when fully spaded. It's fairly well armored and has a potent cannon, whereas other tanks, such as the M1A1 AIM, might be heavier or may feature arguably less protection, such as with, again, arguably the T-80UK. The Leopard 2PL has a great mix of traits. Because of this, it can essentially play any way that you want, with emphasis on flanking, sniping, and even base capping, as the overall armor on the Leopard 2PL is likely its least standout quality. This isn't because it's bad necessarily, as the turret face of the PL is among the best armored turret faces in Warthunder, but because it has average or even subpar hull armor, which can make it difficult to survive many shots when not in a hull down position. Regardless, the Leopard 2PL is incredibly fast, especially for its nearly 60-ton weight, and has the effective Dm-43 Apf Sds shell that can shoot through essentially every tank that it might face, though you will need to know the weak spots of more heavily armored enemies like the M1A2 AIM Tusk and Leopard 2A6 variants, as its 536mm of maximum armor penetration is not a magic bullet. Additionally, the Leopard 2PL lacks an HMG, which could make killing lightly armored vehicles annoying, especially if your cannon does not do the trick in the first shot, and will also make killing aircraft slightly more difficult. If nothing else, the PL features the great Dm-43 Apf shell that has a time fuse that is great at attacking helicopters, if of course you have it equipped. Regardless, this is the stereotypical MBT, and as such, can do almost everything that you ask of it without any fuss. Now with that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses. And first, for its strengths. It has Gen 2 thermals for both the Gunner's and Commander's optics. Second, it has a great gunner's optic with up to 12 times zoom. Third, it features the powerful Dm-43 Apf Sds with upwards of 530mm of armor pen at max, though like I said, this is not the best of the Apf Sds shells at this BR. Fourth, it features the Dm-11 ATF with time fuse, which is extremely useful for destroying aircraft. Fifth, it has excellent speed and maneuverability. Beyond this, it has a great turret traverse rate that can go up to 40 degrees per second with an aced out crew. For its 7th strength, it has a very good reload rate of 7.8 to 6 seconds at best, depending on crew skills. 8th, it contains a good amount of smoke grenades with 16 in total. For its 9th strength, with the exception of a few key weak spots, the Leopard 2PL's turret face is very well armored. And finally, the PL features blowout panels for if the ammo rack in the turret is hit. This will allow you to survive an otherwise killing strike against you. Now for its weaknesses, the entire cannon mantlet area has fairly poor armor, with the lower portion of the mantlet through where the upper glacis meets the turret ring is also largely poor. This is a huge weak spot on the PL specifically. Second, while it has at least 2 LMGs, the PL still lacks any HMGs, which means that you won't be able to kill the fairly prominent unarmored vehicles around this BR with an MG. For its third weakness, the Leopard 2PL currently has the highest visibility rating of any Leopard 2 currently in Warthunder, making it somewhat easier to spot and also hit, even if just slightly. For its fourth weakness, with the exception of the majority of the turret face, sans the aforementioned weak spots, the Leopard 2PL doesn't have a great amount of armor and is easily penned by most Apf Sds shells from around this BR. This includes the easily penned upper and lower glacis plates, as well as the typical side and rear armor weak spots as well. For its fifth weakness, the PL features a a massive engine deck lid which will prevent you from hitting anyone if your turret is facing the rear of the vehicle. And finally, despite being a Polish variant of the Leopard 2, there are no Pierogi or Kielbasa based add-on armor packages currently available. Now that said, let's get into how I score this vehicle. And first, for armament, I give it a 7.25 out of 10. While it has, for example, extremely similar ballistics to the T-80UK's 3 Dm-43 Apf Sds, the Dm-43 on the PL is slightly slower, about 0.5 kilograms lighter, is a slightly smaller caliber, and lacks an autoloader that gives it consistently fast reloads. While it is true that the Leopard 2PL has a faster reload when expert/ace crewed, you need to of course spend the SL or even Golden Eagles to get that crew rating, and then hope that your loader doesn't die. With the T-80UK, he can die, and it's largely no problem, at least until you run out of the ready ammo rack. Still, this is a fantastically powerful cannon, and while not the absolute best at this BR, it is still definitely capable. Plus, if dealing with helicopters, you of course have your time-fused HE shell, which can come in handy. Overall, this thing can go through pretty much every tank that it fights, although, as I mentioned before, you will need to know the weak spots of higher BR and higher armored vehicles. With that said, for mobility, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. The Leopard 2PL is, in short, extremely mobile. While heavy at nearly 60 tons, it still produces 1500 horsepower, providing a 25.3 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. This, along with its excellent chassis, allows the PL to move with ease, competing with some of the fastest tanks at this BR. Because of its excellent mobility, the PL can easily flank and base cap, which gives it a tremendous amount of tactical flexibility. Now for survivability, I give it a 6.25 out of 10. The main strength relating to the survivability of the PL is its upgraded frontal turret armor. When hit, it can protect against most, if not all, shells in Warthunder. Otherwise, the PL is fairly average and in some ways a bit below average in terms of protection, as it is based on the Leopard 2A4, of which currently sits at 10.0 BR. The entirety of the hull of this vehicle, including both the upper and lower glacis plates, are vulnerable to Apf Sds shells, offering fairly light protection in that regard. Even versus Heat FS, the Leopard 2PL is just average, insofar as the hull armor is concerned. As I mentioned before, the PL also has a large weak spot at the base of the turret in the front, which is comparatively larger and easier to hit than what you might find on most MBTs. Ultimately, this is a somewhat average tank insofar as survivability is concerned, at least when looking at armor, with the glacis plates being more exposed to Apf Sds than most MBTs, though with the majority of the turret face being better protected than almost every other MBT in game. So long as you play to its strengths, the Leopard 2PL can withstand plenty of punishment. Also, as mentioned before, it does have blowout panels, which can allow you to survive some ammo cook-offs. Now that said, overall, I give it a 7.0 out of 10. While I could easily give it a 6.75 out of 10 based on the scores I've already given it, the PL, I feel, is worthy of a solid 7.0. It can basically do everything well, and while it isn't the best at any one thing, it offers tremendous versatility and power, which is incredibly deadly in the hands of an experienced player. Now with that said, do I recommend that you grind for this vehicle? Yes, I do. Though I can't recommend purchasing it with Golden Eagles unless you have a good amount of experience with MBTs and Warthunder. This is a very powerful vehicle that can easily wipe out numerous enemies in just a few seconds, and is a great vehicle to have in a fleshed out top tier lineup. Unfortunately, the PL gets a bad rap because of the hordes of players with no MBT experience purchasing it and dying instantly, and then leaving the match. If you are looking to purchase this vehicle with Golden Eagles, know that MBTs are vastly different from anything below 8.0 BR, with it almost feeling like playing Warthunder at 2x speed and with screen lookers. It feels like everyone knows your position at all times, and then they react a quarter second faster than you would. If you aren't used to that, just grind this vehicle out. I personally love the Leopard 2PL, but would probably place it just shy of the T-80UK and even the M1A1 AIM, insofar as capability is concerned. And when I say that, I mean it's basically just marginal in its differences, and really it's just down to user preferences. Regardless, as I said before, yes, I do recommend the Leopard 2PL, but you need to know what you're getting into before deciding to grind it or purchase it. It's an excellent tank, but it will not hold your hand. Now with that said, thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what you guys thought about this review and also of the Leopard 2PL in the comments below. I know that this review is kind of a long time coming, being that this vehicle came out so long ago, but I decided, hey, why not? Either way though, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care everyone.